This episode is sponsored in part by LaunchDarkly. Take a look at what it takes to get your code into production. I'm going to just guess that it's awful because it's always awful. No one loves their deployment process. What if launching new features didn't require you to do a full-on code and possibly infrastructure deploy? What if you could test on a small subset of users and then roll it back immediately if results aren't what you expect? LaunchDarkly does exactly this. To learn more, visit LaunchDarkly.com and tell them Corey sent you and watch for the wince. Good morning, AWS, and welcome to the AWS Morning Brief. After a fairly eventful week, my article talking about exactly what it would take to get Parler off of AWS and onto something, ancient was a surprise success. An awful lot of people wound up reaching out with supportive messages, and a few of the worst people in the world, of course, reached out telling me exactly what my problem is. Good for them. They learned to write. Now, let's talk instead about what happened last week in the wide world of AWS. Amazon EC2 API now supports IPv6. This is exciting news and also the root cause of some weird timeouts that some folks with broken IPv6 configurations are undoubtedly seeing start to crop up. Amazon Fraud Detector launches ability to cancel in-progress model trainings. This saves a bunch of money on misconfigured training runs, which apparently were themselves being classified as credit card fraud. Announcing new segmentation capabilities for Amazon Pinpoint. Look, I've got to level with you. Capabilities like this worry me on some level. With my newsletter, my ability to send segmented emails are less users between the ages of 18 and 24 that joined after a certain date with a lifetime value of more than $500, to quote what AWS's announcement uses as an example. I don't do that. Instead, I can more or less target based upon the users that have a Gmail address. This is very much an intentional choice on my part not to track my audience because that is freaking creepy. AWS Snowcone now supports multicast streams and routing by providing instances with direct access to external networks. An awful lot of people have a list of services that they wish supported multicast. A box that sits on your desk is usually dead last on that list. How to estimate your AWS WAF and AWS Shield Advanced cost. When the How to Estimate Your Cost post requires you to use Athena, multiple complex SQL queries, the AWS console, and AWS Glue in order to arrive at an estimate, you know that the pricing team gave up, went home, and just accepted that snarky comments like this one would be the price of doing business. I do find myself wondering how they estimated that price, though. Introducing message archiving and analytics for Amazon SNS. The pre-existing analytics for SNS have proven to be too depressing since they're really just the bill. Cross-account replication with Amazon DynamoDB. Now, without digging into this, I want you to stop and think for a minute. What is the dumbest possible way that you could imagine to replicate DynamoDB tables between accounts? Think about that for a second. If your answer isn't at least as dumb as export the table to S3, then re-import that into the destination account, then you really need to think bigger because that's what the article suggests. This episode is sponsored in part by Chaos Search. As basically everyone knows, trying to do log analytics at scale with an ELK stack is expensive, unstable, time-sucking, demeaning, and just basically all around horrible. So why are you still doing it, or even thinking about it when there's Chaos Search? Chaos Search is a fully managed, scalable log analysis service that lets you add new workloads in minutes and easily retain weeks, months, or years of data. With Chaos Search, you store, connect, and analyze, and you're done. The data lives and stays within your S3 buckets, which means no managing servers, no data movement, and you can save up to 80% versus running an ELK stack the old-fashioned way. It's why companies like Equifax, HubSpot, Klarna, AlertLogic, and many more have all turned to Chaos Search. So if you're tired of your ELK stack falling over before it suffers, or of having your log analytics data retention squeezed by the cost, then try Chaos Search today and tell them I sent you. To learn more, visit chaossearch.io. Deploying AWS step functions using GitHub Actions. Well, why would you use GitHub Actions instead of AWS Code Pipeline, Code Build, Code Deploy, or CodeStar? The answer to that is go use GitHub Actions, and then you'll be able to answer your own question. New and amplified data store, selective sync, and sort functionality. Implement quick sort on a whiteboard. Good work. Congratulations, you passed. Welcome to AWS. Now implement quick sort in one of our production products. How AWS is helping to secure internet routing. This goes into some depth, and it doesn't solve everything, but it does make accidental BGP route announcements far less likely to materially break part of the internet. US East 1 already has that one covered for you. Amazon Workspaces supports CAC/PIV smart card authentication. This is exciting news for my ability to securely place Skyrim on an Amazon Workspace one of these days. And lastly, now available, the AWS Nonprofit Credit Program. It sounds awesome. Okay, it's only for $2,000 in credit, which is still better than nothing. What do I have to do to get it? The article redirects to a third-party website that charges a $175 admin fee for the program because AWS apparently doesn't want to bother running it themselves. I'd award them an at least you tried prize for this one, except for the part where they very clearly did not. And that's what happened last week in AWS. I'm cloud economist Corey Quinn. This is the AWS Morning Brief, and I will talk to you later this week.
This has been a Humble Pod production. Stay humble.